straight to your YouTube. And I'll make this available for you later, okay? So a couple different things that I want to go over here today. Low battery, that's not good. First things first, I need to show you how to see the extensions on your machines, all right? This is important so that you know if you have the right extension on the end of a document or not. We're to the point where we need to know, is that an HTML, is it a CSS? If it's not, we need to know how to change it. And the problem is this. Everybody follow along with me. This is a very doing, hands-on class. On your desktop, right-click and make a new document. So just come down and say new doc and do text doc, all right? And notice how it says new text document, but I don't know what the extension is on there. And Mike says, gee, everything I turn in should say HTML. So I right-click it, and I name it new document.html. Gee, it's an HTML document now. Wrong. It's not. It's still a text document, a .txt. Windows, by default, hides the file extension of your files. So I want to show you how to change that. You need to do it on your own computers so that you can always see that extension. So you're going to right-click. No, hold on. We'll bring up a Windows like this, Windows Explorer. And then you're going to give me a second because I moved too quick. And then you're going to click on View. Then you're going to come over to Options, change folder and search options. Everybody with me? If you're not, ask your neighbor, click on View. A couple different things here. Hide extensions for known file types. Uncheck it. And show hidden files, folders, and drives. You can uncheck that if you want as well. Another neat one to do is display the full path in the title bar. Click on Apply. And now notice how everything all of a sudden has these extensions on the end, including that document that I created. I can now see that it's called new text document.html.txt. Neighbors help neighbors. I'll be happy to come around and help you out. When you were doing Python, it was just fine because it just came up. It did not recognize that. That's why they probably didn't have you go through this, right? But now we're doing HTML. That is a recognized format, and it knows to launch it. You're right.
Now, there's also this little icon right here, just underneath it says file extension. So you just theoretically click on that.
Well, the problem is we start dealing with hundreds of files, and do you really want to right-click on every single file and see what it is?
Well, it's just like right here. Let me just, 1 second. Oops.
Yeah, that's probably just the same thing that I just ticked.
Okay.
Yep. That's okay. So now you just kind of scan down through here, and you say hide extensions for all known file types. You want to make sure that's unchecked. And then show extensions. You already did that. You could do display full path if you want to do that. That's kind of neat. So yep, that one right there. Yep, and then click apply. And notice how now that TXT shows up there. So that extension is still .txt. So now if we really want that to be an HTML file, we're going to, by the way, get to know shortcuts. If you select something and you hit F2, that brings you into edit. All right? F2, right? So now I can just delete that .txt off the end of that, and now it's going to say, hey, you sure you want to change that file name extension? Yeah, I do. And now it becomes an HTML file, and notice how it is associated with Internet Explorer. Now, I highly recommend you don't use Internet Explorer until they come out, or Edge, until they come out with the newest edition of Edge, which is actually going to use Chromium, which is at the heart of Chrome and all the other web browsers that you're so familiar with. All right? But that just started happening. So that's one of the things that I wanted to show you from a developer standpoint, is we need to know what are the file extensions we're dealing with. Do we have it? Because if you go to execute a file that you think is an HTML file, but it's a text file, guess what's not going to happen? It's not going to render in your browser. It's not going to be able to double click on it and render in whatever browser you want to select. The same thing with PHP. If it doesn't have a .php on the end of it, it doesn't know that it's a PHP file. If it doesn't have a JS on the end of it, it doesn't know that it's a JavaScript file. If it doesn't have a .css on the end of it, it doesn't know that it's a cascading style sheet file, right? So we need to make sure we're aware of all of that. The next thing we need is a syntax highlighting piece of software. What did you all use last semester in Python? What syntax highlighting piece of software did you use? You used Sublime? Okay. Okay. What else did you use? Nobody used anything? Did you even take Python? Maybe I should go through and make sure that you're all qualified to be in this class. What text editor did you use? Did you use Atom? Did you use Notepad++? You had to use one of them. How else would you learn how to manipulate all your stuff? We're going to use Notepad++. All right? It doesn't appear to be on the desktop. So bring up, all you do is hit Windows key, type in Notepad, and you'll see Notepad++ right there. I am going to pin that to my taskbar. All right. Now, Notepad++, there's a lot of different ones. Sublime, you have to pay for Sublime. It's a great piece of software, but you have to pay for it. It's 40 or 50 bucks. You can get a freer version of it, but it's restricted. It's heavily hampered. Atom is a new one out there. You can go to atom.io. You can download that one. That's a really nice syntax highlighting piece of software. And then Notepad++. How many people have a Mac machine in here? Anybody have a Mac? If you got a Mac, you have two choices. You can do Atom. Can you do Sublime? You can do Sublime, so you got three choices. Or you can do Text Wrangler. All right? Question? You sure? Okay. Everybody good? So what does this do for us? Well, let's go to, hold on. There we go. Let's go to W3 Schools. And here's our HTML. And notice how it just says new one. I want to come over here into my tutorials, and my Learn HTML tutorials, and I want to pick something simple like this, and I'm going to copy it over. Question? What happened? Oh no, what happened? No, something happened. See it now? All right. So I want to take this software. I want to, or this code, and I've opened Notepad++. I just got a new one up there, and I've inserted it in. All right. That's pretty difficult to read. Not a lot of code there, but as you copy and paste that in, if you didn't have a syntax highlighting tool, that's what it would all look like. And when you start getting a couple hundred lines of code into any given document, it becomes very difficult to read. So that's where the syntax highlighting comes into play. So this is what you're going to do now. We're going to come up to the top, and we're going to say File, save as. By the way, this is my Notepad++. File, save as. And on my desktop, I'm going to make a new folder just so I can stay organized. And I'm going to call it my HTML. And then on the name, I'm going to call this hello.html. You can change the file type. It should be okay if you leave it alone, but you can come down and you can find HTML down here, and you can collect that if you want to be sure, but it should be fine without it. All right? So I'm going to call it hello.html, and I'm going to click on save. And as soon as I do that, notice how Notepad++, it highlights my syntax for me. It highlights all the tags that I have in my document. Now I can clearly see HTML, I can see the body, I can see the H1 tag, I can see the H2 tag, so on and so forth. Questions? Everybody good so far? All right. So let's try this now. I want to find that folder that I just made. It's bound to be around here. There it is. My HTML. And I'm going to double click on that. I want to open it up. Whoops, where did it go? Let's see. I saved it on just the desktop. So let's do this. Let's do file, save as. Thought I clicked it. I'll save it in there. There we go. There it is. Now, I like using Chrome. I recommend you only use Chrome or Firefox for all of your rendering purposes. So I'm going to right-click. I want to say open with Chrome. And there we go. So that's my document. We call that being rendered. We have a render engine. All right? So my browser rendered my HTML code. You good? All right. So, yes. Nope, no such thing.
So when you're designing websites or whatnot, do you start off with like this type of like coding? Like you start off like HTML, how was that?
It's exactly why we're doing it in the order in which we're doing it.
Okay.
I want you to get comfortable understanding syntax highlighting, understanding client-side languages, and then we're going to move over to the server-side languages. Then we're going to introduce our projects to the world. We're going to start putting them up on a server that everybody can access, and we can manipulate all the data that we get into it. And then you get to the end of your semester, you'll be like, damn, I learned a lot. Try Windows P. Hit the Windows key. Windows key. The Windows key is the one that has the little Windows looking symbol on it. It's Windows, and hit P at the same time. You gotta hold down on the Windows key at the same time. I don't think, are you logged in? Yeah, you are. Let's see. So you go. There you go. Go to extended. That should flip it over there. You're welcome. Any other questions? Yep. Ethan, can you help him or not? If not, then I'll come back. I want you guys I want you to help each other. That way I can move faster and faster and faster. You got it? Plus, it sharpens your communication skills, right? So let's try this. This is all working for everybody, right? So now let's go ahead and change, something basic here, like the title page. What does, where it says page title, what does this do? What is this tag? Those of you that completed all the tutorials, what does it change? Yeah, what goes up on the tab. So now come in here and change that. Say Mike's document or whatever you want it to say. Control S, get familiar with shortcut keys. Control S. Try not to touch the damn mouse. Control S. Then click and hit F5. Look at that. My title changed. This is how you're going to be doing all that homework. Let's change the heading. This is really awesome. Control S, save it. Come over here, click F5, changed it. Control S, F5. Everybody got this? The hierarchy of a website. The hierarchy of a website. The very first document in a website or a folder is called the root document. The common names of the root document are index.html or PHP or ASP or HTML, etc., whatever I want to call it. Or home.html, blah, 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 blah. So again, these are common names of the root document on any website. And we called ours hello, but we can make it a root document or not. The root document is the beginning. From the root document extends out our website. So when you go to your favorite website and you hit in the root document, whatever you go to. That's the root document. Your first page is your root document. Oftentimes what they do from a hierarchical standpoint is they'll make folders for each of the larger sections. So I'll think of like a news kind of website. So it might be US, tech, sports, entertainment. Why do we put them in folders? Because we're human beings. And the more organized we can be, the quicker we can fix things. So if our major sections are US, tech, sports, and entertainment, we make a folder, and everything that is related to technology goes in that folder. And maybe you have subfolders inside of that. However you make it as the developer. In the US, we put all the things that belong to that. In sports, all the things that belong to that. Maybe you want to have multiples of these. Maybe it's international sports and local sports, right? Or US sports. Same thing for entertainment. All right? Then inside of this are all of our documents. And eventually, we'll get to the end of that particular branch or that particular path. But we got to have a way to get back to our root document. And that's where the navigation kind of starts coming into play, right? So when we get down to this end document, we have to have a link that can take us back to here. Otherwise, who really wants to keep clicking back button, back button, back button, back button, back button to get back to the root, right? Or wherever. So we do these things called links. And anybody know what the tag for a link is? What is it? Yep, it's the A bracket, or the anchor tag, right? That's it. It's the anchor tag. The anchor tag enables us to be able to link to various pages. So let's say I have something over here in sports, and I want to link to that particular page over there. I can do that from that document. What if I have another URL out there that has an interesting video that I would like to highlight? Well, I can actually point a link, an A tag, to that particular video and embed that video directly into my document. Kind of cool? We're going to carefully, I don't have a lot of time left, we're going to carefully go through all these tutorials trying to help you piece together some different basics from it. So what are the big basics? Well, link, right? The A tag. We need to understand a form. We need to understand basic formatting. How to insert images. What about tables? And different input types. These are some of the really big basics. But I have you doing a whole lot in those tutorials. But when we walk away from this, we really need to know how to link one page to the other page. We need to make sure it's basically formatted. Who wants to interact with the website without a form where we can fill information in and then collect that data? So we need to make sure that we're doing that. Websites aren't very fun if we can't have photographs and video and stuff in there. So we're going to learn how to do that. Oftentimes we want to display tables, so we need to understand the table. And then there's different input types which relate back up. I really should have put input types really right here under the forms is where that really should have gone, because we want to simplify the input on our form so that we reduce the chance of collecting bad data. All right? And I'll give you an example. You could ask the user, what state are you from? Right? And then they fill it in by typing it out. Well, what's the problem with that? They could misspell it. That's a bad thing. What else could they do? How are you going to input the state you live in? What would you put in there? What would you type in? Maryland? Not misspelled. How are you going to put it in? MD. See what I'm saying? So now we have inconsistent data. But if we put it with radio buttons, you know, you click one, you get one choice. Think all the space I'm taking up on my form. I got to take up 50 spaces plus if I include the territories. Does that make sense? So the best input type then would be, what you're most familiar with is what? Yep, the drop-down. And that's exactly what it's called. It's a drop-down list. You can select it. It reduces the error rate. It forces the user to put something in. It makes our life simple, right? However, we could use a radio button for something like, what's your favorite semester? Spring, fall. 2 choices, 3 choices, 4 choices. But not only do we need to think about what is the best fit for what data we're collecting, we need to know how to program that too. And this is pretty basic stuff, right? But we need to know how to do that, so that's why that's there. And we'll go from there. If you haven't been working on it now, you need to go up, you need to check out what I put up. You read it, I'll address it on Wednesday, and it's due soon. So you better start. Oh, that's bullshit. I just uploaded it. It's a liar. It's a liar. I didn't link it to anything. I didn't do nothing. Let me see. I don't even know what I did with it. Why is that? So you can't click on that? Says unauthorized. I'll fix it. I've never seen that before. I'll fix it. I'll get it fixed soon. We'll talk about it on Wednesday a little bit. Sound good? All righty.